So there are so many scenarios where you'll see people will advocate for something, and then they think that anyone that's opposed to this is a terrible person. Like they want bad things to happen to people. For example, Title IX. Like Title IX is all about like stopping sexual assault. So they think there's a group of people or a lot of people that support Title IX that tend to think like, okay, if people are opposed to Title IX, they must support sexual assault or they must not care about women or stuff like that. That they think that, oh, if I support this policy which will end sexual assault or which will restrict sexual assault, then anyone opposed to it is a bad person. But that's not the case. There are so many people that are against Title IX. Not even like maybe not just people that like want to strip it entirely, but people that at least want some kind of reform. Because of situations like this here, where this autistic student asked for a fist bump and a selfie, and he got two Title IX investigations, which are currently on his record. Like what? He asked for a fist bump and a selfie, and apparently that led to sexual assault. Now, obviously, like that's just the title, so that's why we're going through the article because it gets more ridiculous as you go through it. So, a fist bump and a selfie may have ended Marcus Knight's educational career as it started. The student who has autism, cerebral palsy, and a shunt to relieve fluid pressure on his brain was not allowed to defend himself against allegations in two Title IX investigations this past fall, his mother told the College Fix. Now, this is the College Fix. I've honestly never been to the College Fix before. It seems like a legitimate source. On top of that, like most of the sources here in this article is just from the mother of the student that has two Title IX strikes on him. So the college didn't say anything. Like they reached out to the college and said like, "What's your thoughts on this? Like we want your side as well." And they basically said we can't give much of an opinion. So that's it for sources. I think it seems true to me. Aurora Knight, it looks like to be his mother, has raised more than half of the money to cover legal fees through a GoFundMe campaign as she challenges the sexual misconduct findings on her son's record. I'll leave that GoFundMe campaign in the description if anyone wants to check it out. Though Saddleback College lifted Marcus's suspension a day before a hearing last month, it has thus far refused to remove the findings from his record, Aurora wrote in an update to the campaign Wednesday. So, again, he's still got these strikes. After all this, it happened last fall. He still has these two Title IX strikes, even though it's clear to pretty much everyone that this is all crap. Like, this is nothing. Her son has limited expressive language capabilities and cannot negotiate social situations as easily as others, she told the College Fix. So he has autism. Though he receives academic accommodations for his disabilities, he was not offered accommodations in the Title IX process, Aurora wrote in an email. When we look at individuals with limited social skills, we cannot expect that they respond to the same way as a typical individual. So basically what happened, there's the kid there's the GoFundMe. Aurora Knight laid out her narrative of the allegations in a phone interview. The first incident occurred in the first week of September when Marcus was in the student services office and asked a female student working there if he could fist bump her. She agreed, but soon filed a Title IX complaint. So from what I can see, you'll see it later in the article if I choose to read that section, that from what it looks like when he raises his hand, like when he reaches out his hand, his fingers, I guess, clench or they get stiff. That's just part of his cerebral palsy. So my guess is like he can't high five very easily. Like he can't. There are certain things where like it seems that the fist bump is just the best way for him to show like a hey, how's it going kind of gesture. So yeah, he asked for a fist bump. She agreed for one. She wasn't just like no, go away. She agreed. She was like yeah, sure, whatever, like that's fine. And then filed a Title IX complaint. So of course, I mean, picture any normal person. Like, what kind of normal person is going to be like is going to understand that, like, if someone consents to something, they visibly consent, and then they file a Title IX complaint? It's like, then you have people with autism and people with certain disabilities that can't understand social situations as well. Now imagine them. Like, they're not doing anything wrong here. Like, you have no way of knowing what's going on here. You have no way of knowing that what you just did was apparently sexual assault. So it's just ridiculous. Like, there is no foundation to this at all. The next week, Aurora and Marcus were asked to meet with the school's disabled students program and services coordinator, who allegedly called the fist bump inappropriate behavior. Aurora told the Fix that Marcus did not bump anything other than the female's knuckles. The Fix has reached the coordinator, but that person has not been available for a phone interview. His mother told the coordinator that Marcus had been at the office seeking campus employment. The official allegedly said that would be totally pointless because Marcus was obviously incapable and should be taking adult disability classes instead of college classes. Though the coordinator said the incident would not go on her son's record if the behavior stopped, according to Aurora, the mother became aggravated by the description of a consensual fist bump as inappropriate. Again, we're talking about a fist bump here in Title IX. Title IX is supposed to be like sexual assault stuff. Like, this is unwanted physical advances. For one, it was wanted because she consented to it. If it was unwanted, she should have said so. But yeah, now this poor kid. She asked the coordinator, did he touch her? Did he hug her? Did he follow her? Did he try to get her phone number? Did he expose himself? When the coordinator allegedly said no to each, Aurora said she responded, then stopped calling it inappropriate. He's just trying to make a friend. That's the thing, like, let's say it wasn't consensual, for example. Like, let's say someone, like, tries to fist bump you, and they don't even ask to fist, I don't know. I don't even know how you can, like, aggressively fist bump someone without punching them. Like, because you raise your fist, and then you expect, like, someone to respond. Like, it's not like you're punching them. There's no way for a fist bump to be, like, assault. Like, if you don't like it, just say, like, okay, no, thank you. Like, or just walk away or whatever, Like, you could have at least said no. Like, if you didn't want it, you could have at least been like, no, thank you. Because, like, we're talking about a fist bump here. Again, like, we're just talking about someone that apparently he raised both of them. Like, what's the big deal? Like, let's say it was totally inappropriate. Like, let's say it was something you did not want. Okay, get over it. It's a fist bump. like I just said, I'm pretty sure a fist bump is something that you have to, like, it cannot happen unless someone, like, retaliates with a responding, like, fist. I don't know. Aurora explained to Marcus that the female student did not want to be his friend, and he agreed not to interact with her anymore. A month later, an official who served as both vice president of student services and Title IX coordinator called the Knights into another meeting with police present because the female student had reported the incident as sexual harassment, according to Aurora. This official did not respond to a query from the fix. So sexual harassment, again, like, sexual harassment is, like, unwanted, like, touching, like, we're talking, like, trying to feel someone, or, like, or obviously, like, that's just the basic of it. That's the lightest thing, is just, like, touching someone in an inappropriate manner. Raising your fist and asking for, like, hey, a mutual fist bump, that's not inappropriate. And again, let's say it was uncalled for. Like, okay, it's a fist bump, deal with it. Like, as they said, your knuckles touched someone else's knuckles. Get over it. This is the problem with, like, this is a big issue that people have with Title IX. Is that you see this Title IX is ruining this kid's life. This woman is ruining this kid's life. And for what? Like no one can possibly get out of this situation okay. Like, everyone would have done the same. You would have been like, hey, fist bump, okay, cool, whatever. Like, big deal. Get over it. Honestly, like, after this, like, I'd be afraid to employ this woman. I'd be afraid to, like, be friends with this woman. I'd be afraid to interact with her at all. I'd be afraid to say hi, because I don't know if, like, if fist bumps are sexual harassment, does that mean, like, saying hi is catcalling? I don't know. Like, this is such a non-issue that turned into a big thing, and it shouldn't have. The student had changed her story to say Marcus hugged her, sat very close to her, grabbed her with one hand, and with the other hand tried to get her hands onto his upper thighs. So that is sexual harassment. But Aurora said that this did not seem physically possible, given that the female student had been sitting behind the counter. Marcus acted out what he did, a two-handed fist bump, at that meeting. Now, I felt like I see no evidence so far, or after I read the article already, obviously, I see no evidence that this story is true. Like, I see nothing. I suppose this article might be wrong, like, but as far as I can tell from the information I have, there is no way this is true. And now it's not. Now it's like we're talking about this woman is slandering this guy. This woman is painting him to be a horrible person when he's done nothing wrong. And I don't know if, like, they interacted in the past and he said something mean to her. I don't know if he, like, flipped her off. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but apparently, like, this woman just decided to destroy the kid's life. I don't know if it's anything to do with him or if she just wanted to be a victim. I don't know. Like, but it's so messed up. Aurora and her son were never allowed to formally defend him throughout the process. I didn't hear back from the school between meetings except for an email from the coordinator recommending life skills classes for March. For Marcus, the mother told the Fix. College staff present at the October meeting had Marcus sign an informal resolution of sexual harassment and told him not to have contact with the female student, according to Aurora. Because of his autism, Marcus did not understand that he could not apologize to the student in person. So, I mean, this seems like a nice kid. Like, he obviously did nothing wrong, and yet he's still going to apologize. Like, he did nothing wrong. Now, I would have been like, screw you. Like, I would have been like, yeah, this woman's nuts. Like, absolutely insane. But no, this kid's like, I should apologize to her. I don't know what I did wrong, but apparently it was something, and I should apologize. Like, this is such a nice kid. Like, this poor guy seems like such a nice person. And when he approached her in the cafeteria, everybody was pointing at him because the female student had been telling everyone he was weird or dangerous. So again, like, this kid has done nothing wrong. And from what I can tell, this is his first semester, or he at least seems new to the school. And now everyone hates him. Or not necessarily hates him, but everyone, like, thinks he's a bad guy. Like, now, and even if, like, it later comes out and everyone figures out that, like, oh, it was actually no big deal. You know, some people that get over that, but with a lot of it, like, when that accusation goes out and you hear it as true, it's kind of hard to, like, walk back from that. Because that still resonates in your memory. It's like, oh, this guy was accused of doing something bad. So, it's, like, this poor kid. I don't know what's going to happen to him, but I can't imagine he's going to make it through school. I hope he does. Like, I mean, I'm rooting for him, but he's, like, for one, they said he's a hard worker, but the disabilities, for one, puts him at a disadvantage. And on top of this, like, he has 2 Title IX strikes on him. There's a lot of people in this campus that probably think he's a molester or something because they heard the rumors but never actually figured out what happened. So it's like this poor kid has everything against him. It's like, that's just so sad. Like, it's depressing. Though he left the cafeteria before reaching the student, she filed another complaint against Marcus, his mother said. When Aurora complained that the student was spreading around rumors about Marcus, Aurora said an official told her in so many words that gossiping was not against the law. And no, it's not against the law. I mean, there are certain, like, libel laws or whatever. I don't think that applies here. But it's the thing, like, okay, it's not against the law, and I don't even know if I'd say it should be against the law. But this woman is obviously destroying this kid's life, whether intentionally or I don't know why she's doing it, but she is doing it. And, like, it is on her that she is ruining this kid's life. And it's like, how could you be such a terrible person to ruin this kid's life? Like, when he's done nothing to you. In fact, from what I can tell, there's only been one experience with the two of them. There's only been one interaction, and he was totally nice. And that's how this all started, because he was so nice, apparently. For the first time in his life, Marcus was ordered to bring a personal student assistant with him to classes. Even though Aurora was paying this assistant, sometimes the person would suddenly cancel, and Aurora would either have to leave work to attend class with her son, or he could not go, Aurora said. Marcus racked up too many absences to pass his English class last fall and only passed another with a D, his mother told The Fix. She said an administrator told her in the spring that he should be put on academic probation, even though his grade point average did not merit it. So, I guess that's a recommendation of academic. I always thought academic probation was like, it's not really something you can recommend. It's something like you either are or you aren't in probation based on your GPA, and his GPA doesn't seem to merit it. Which makes me think, okay, this guy must be a good student because he failed one class, got a D in another, and yet he's not on academic probation. So he must have done pretty good in his other classes, from what it seems like. But, gee, like, imagine that. Like, imagine going to college. I mean, I have a 4-year degree, or I have a bachelor's degree. Imagine, like, going to college, or if you weren't in college, imagine, like, going to high school or whatever, and having to have someone else with you at all times. Like, someone in your life had to follow you around and be there with you. You couldn't just show up to a class. Like, again, there's just another limit on this guy. That it's like, no, what, this kid is facing an impossible task, and it's all because of this woman. It's like, that is so nuts. That is just, it's aggravating. The second incident occurred in November. So yeah, there were 2 incidents. This is just the first one. The second incident occurred in October. Aurora was not sure whether it happened before or after the October meeting about the first incident. Marcus was involved with the college's musical theater program and wanted to ask a female student in the program if he could take a selfie with her. According to Aurora, her son's assistant approved him asking the question, and the female said yes. Okay, so she had, like, the guy had an assistant with him, and she was like, yeah, that's, like, the assistant clearly saw this as, like, okay, this is an okay scenario. Like, he's not about to molest someone. He's not, like, assaulting a woman. She saw it, or he or she, whoever the assistant was, saw this as an okay thing. And the female student said yes, so the female student consented. Aurora said that her son took 2 burst pictures, which takes 100 photos. Wow. 100 photos with each tap of the button. She provided the fix a copy of one of the photos. It shows Marcus halfway out of the frame, with his arm extended and his hand behind the female student's head. She's seated and smiling. Now, I mean, as far as I can tell, like, when you take a picture, if you're doing a selfie, like, you have the front-facing camera on, probably, so you can probably see, like, what the picture's going to look like. So, obviously, like, if there was an issue, like, the student would have been like, hey, like, she would have probably adjusted and, like, probably not been smiling. She would have been ready for a picture. And I don't know how long the burst picture takes, if it's, like, if you just press it and it takes them all at once, like, or if this is something where you have to hold it for maybe 5 seconds at a time. I don't know. I don't know if he did this intentionally, but it's, again, like, we're not talking that he was like, okay, like, stand still, like, for 5 minutes, we're going to take 200 pictures. They're basically 2 pictures. Because you'll see later she's complaining that there are so many pictures of her, and it's like, they're basically 2 pictures. Because each set of 100, I mean, they're probably all the same picture, honestly. They're pretty much the same. If you're taking 100 pictures in a row, you're going to have, like, a little bit of a move with the background. Just some basic movement of the body. Like, they're all the same picture. It's not like he was walking around taking a bunch of pictures of her, like, without consent. It's like, okay, if I can, obviously, like, okay, I can say I only consented to 1 or 2 pictures and you took 200, but it's like, yeah, they're all the same picture. Like, who cares? Deal with it. It shows Marcus halfway out of frame with his arm extended and his hand. Okay, I said that. She's seated and smiling. He was touching her shoulder with the tips of his fingers. According to Aurora, Marcus has cerebral palsy on his left side. When he extends his arm, his fingers automatically get hard. It's a neurological thing. But it was not grabbing. It's just how he is. So it's like, we're talking like something he has no control over here. So again, like that's the big test of everything. That's the big test of agency, of whether someone's in the wrong. Whether you could, like, tell them, like, hey, don't do that, and they're physically capable of doing it. And it seems like this kid, like, that's just what happens with his body. He cannot control that. So it's like, get over it. I mean, again, from one of these things, like, this is the second scenario where she later reported there were 2 people that consented to what was going on, fist bumps or a selfie, and then they later filed complaints. So it's like, you know what you do? There are numerous things you can do if you're in the situation of these women. So if this guy asked you for a selfie or fist bump, and you don't want it, first thing you can do is say no, and then that's it. Like, I'm sure this kid would be like, okay, fine. Obviously, in the second scenario, even if he persisted, the assistant would have probably been like, no, like, let's not do that. So she's safe. Or, if they went through and took the pictures, say she took all the pictures, or he took all the pictures, sorry, and you were like, you're not happy with him, suddenly you're like, okay, this, like, those were too many pictures, you're concerned, or for whatever reason you're concerned, then you say delete them. You say right that second, you're like, okay, like, why are there so many pictures? Like, can you please delete them? Okay, I'm not fine with this anymore. Like, for whatever reason, I can't imagine why you would have changed your mind right that second, but okay, she still could have changed her mind, and again, the assistant was nearby. The assistant could have been like, okay, she didn't want him, like, here, let's delete him, and the kid sounds like a nice guy. He'd be more than happy to be like, okay, delete. Like, I'm sorry for wasting your time. Whatever. But that's not what happened. Both of these situations went across perfectly okay. And again, the second one, there was an assistant there. So if anything was up, I feel like the assistant, like, would have done her job and been like, okay, no, don't do this. But no, everything went fine. And then later was the accusations came. According to a charge letter dated December 1st, the student reported the incident as sexual harassment, claiming that Marcus forcefully placed his hand on her shoulder while taking a selfie with her. The Title IX coordinator also said the student accused Marcus of having followed her around in October and taking over 300 unauthorized pictures of her. So that second part, there is no evidence of that. or at least none that's reported in the article. There doesn't seem to be any example of that. Like, again, this kid's not like, this something tells me that'd be something you could easily check. Like, just go through the kid's phone, and if you find all these pictures from like across the road of the woman from like clearly zoomed in from afar or something like that, then you could be like, okay, that's creepy. But it seems like the 300 authorized pictures, the kid took 2 burst photos, so that's 200 right there. I suppose that's 199 unauthorized photos because he said selfie, not selfies. But again, big deal. Like, these are such non-issues. Why are we complaining about this? Why are we wasting time on this poor kid? Like, why are we using like university services and probably taxpayer dollars if it's a public university on crap like this, on such non-issues? Like, this is nuts. This should have, like, the fact that this even like went on and was just not dismissed right away is nuts, and shows a broken system, people that don't care. Like, imagine this woman lacking so much empathy that she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna ruin this kid's life. And imagine being so unlucky that this happened twice. Like, this happened twice, and both of them were like totally like, anyone would have made this mistake. And again, that's even calling it a mistake. The mistake being interacting with these crazy women, not anything he actually did wrong. In a response letter, Aurora listed several corrections to the allegations, saying Marcus did not take pictures of the student, but with and authorized by her. That one time, she explained the burst function on the camera and said he accidentally turned it on. His disability made it physically impossible to do what the student claimed, Aurora said. So again, like, maybe he accidentally turned it on. Like, I mean, how many people do you know that, like, if you gave them a smartphone, they'd accidentally turn that on, they'd get lost, they wouldn't know what was happening, they wouldn't be able to work their phone that well. It's just like, it's such a non-issue. Like, even if you had the burst function turned on and then you were like, hey, let's take a selfie, you forgot to turn it off. It's like, okay, what's the big deal? It's the same photo over again. This is so nuts. The prior investigation resulted in Marcus struggling with anxiety and depression and spending a night in the emergency room because of stress headaches, she wrote. She called the allegations manufactured issues. So again, this kid's in the ER. Now again, like, I mean, I've worked in the ER before. There are so many people that take people to the ER for no good reason. And especially if this kid seems like he has a ton of health issues, and if the kid's like, damn, I have this pounding headache. I mean, I'm sure the woman seems to be spending a ton of money on legal services for her son, so I imagine, like, she'd be like, okay, an ER bill, whatever. I don't know what kind of insurance they have, if they have some kind of special insurance because he's disabled. I don't know how that works. But again, like, she took him to the ER maybe just because he had a headache. I tend to be, like, very skeptical of certain ER visits because, again, so many people were there for such non-issues. But again, the fact that this kid's in the ER, like, for what they ruled as stress headaches, like, there's obviously the chance that that's a legitimate stress headache, and if so, like, it takes a lot to have a stress headache, enough to send you into the ER. I mean, so, like, wow. That poor kid. Like, again, this poor kid, I feel so bad for him. It's like, he has done nothing wrong here, and he seems like such a nice kid too, because again, he went to apologize when he had done nothing wrong. So the kid is such a nice guy, and these two women. When the Knights were called into another meeting with the Title IX coordinator and the police, they weren't allowed to present evidence, Aurora told The Fix. The coordinator allegedly ordered Marcus to delete the photos on his phone and objected to Aurora doing it for him, though she had the power of attorney. So that I find strange. Like, why can't she just do it for him? Is it to teach the kid, like, to learn how to delete pictures? I don't know. This just seems so dumb. Asked by The Fix what rationale the official gave for deleting them, Aurora repeated that the official said to delete them. The college did not answer this factual question when asked by The Fix. Aurora received a letter March 28th informing her that Marcus was found responsible and suspended, and she appealed days later. She told The Fix none of their evidence had been taken into consideration. So again, this is such a non-issue. Like, anyone that looks at this is like, okay, this, like, fist bumps. A fist bump and a selfie. We're not talking like pictures from, again, across the road or something like that, or from a window. We're talking pictures from, like, right next to the person after they consented. Like, the woman smiling in the picture. So it was obviously consensual. or in the 200 pictures, whatever. I don't get why people aren't, like, I don't get why there's so much bureaucracy in the university. I'd imagine that this went through several people. Like, this wasn't just one person. This was a bunch of people that probably looked at this and didn't dismiss it right away. Like, didn't try to fight it for this. Like, why? Is it apathy? Do they legitimately think this guy's like a sexual harasser? I don't know. But it's so frustrating. With a hearing date set for June 5th, Aurora looked for pro bono representation but couldn't find any. I started checking for lawyers, but, money. I'm a single mother and it's not easy, she told The Fix. With the funds raised through GoFundMe and a loan, she was able to pay a lawyer's retainer. Aurora said she and Marcus planned to bring 18 character witnesses to the hearing, even though she had to pay for the lawyer's services with each. The college canceled it the day before and removed the suspension, leaving the sexual misconduct findings in his record and requiring his assistant to accompany him on campus. Now, I don't know if the appeal just went through and it was bad timing. The appeal that she put in earlier finally went through the day before, but remember, this woman just paid for a lawyer to talk to these 18 witnesses, and that was all for nothing. So again, there's so much wasted money here. Like, there's the kid whose life is just ruined. I feel bad for the kid. It's just devastating. But then on top of that, like, the icing on the cake, it's just so much money that is now totally wasted on pointless things like this. So much money. Both the woman and both the mother and the taxpayers. Like, it's nuts. There's just so much. All of this should not have happened. And it did. But, yeah. And, yeah, he still has to have his assistant along. Have some sort of assistant to accompany him on campus. And he still has the Title IX sexual misconduct findings, both of them, on his record. So, like, for one, we're sending this kid to college, and let's just assume that he can graduate and he works hard and he does good. Who's going to hire him? Like, I'm not sure if that stays on your record or not. I'm not sure if that's visible to employers. I honestly don't know. But dang, like, if it is, your life is ruined. I mean, imagine, like, so many employers, like, if you're an employer, the smart thing to do is just Google the guy. Like, if you're going to hire someone, just Google him. And then they find this. Like, I mean, hopefully they read through the article and they're like, oh, this poor kid. But, wow, like, way to destroy this kid's life. We don't know why the women did it, but it's somewhat safe to say it's because they're nuts. The college said it would give her an explanatory letter to alleviate the effect on his record, but Aurora said she is yet to receive it. Marcus is now confused and scared, knowing that people do not understand him at all. So again, they said this happened last fall, and it's still on his record. So due to student confidentiality requirements, I'm unable to comment on this specific matter. The director of marketing and communications at the college told The Fix. So yeah, Saddleback College, like, I hate to slander a college, but it's like, I would recommend not going there. I don't know how good of a college it is, but it's not worth this. Because apparently there are at least 2 girls on this campus that will just file harassment charges for no good reason. And the university is not going to do anything about it. They're just going to be like, okay, this kid's a sexual harasser now or whatever. Like, that's scary. That's not worth it. It's not worth it. However, when a complaint is filed, the college provides both the complaining and responding parties an opportunity to tell their sides of the story and address the complaint, she wrote in an email. The procedures for student conduct violations vary depending on the evidence and possible discipline, though the evidence standard is preponderance. In general, not commenting on any case, a college discipline officer will ask a student under investigation to respond to allegations and give the student written notice if discipline is to be issued. For suspension and expulsion, the student can appeal to a hearing panel and then the college president. For expulsion, the student can appeal the president's decision to the board of trustees. Rossley, whose son went through a similar Title IX proceeding, told The Fix that students like his son and Marcus need advocates in a Title IX hearing for it to be just. So again, like, to conclude, that's the whole issue with Title IX here. It's that there's no representation here. Like, there's no due process. It's just, oh God, this kid apparently fist bumped someone and now he has sexual harassment charges on his record. Or sexual misconduct on his record. Like, that is not a fair system. And I know, like, you can never sacrifice due process. That's the issue. You can never sacrifice due process, because it's like, would you rather have 100 people thrown in jail for one, and then when one of those is perfectly innocent? And it's like, no, like, I would rather be so lenient that some criminals get out of jail or get out with the charge or don't get charged, if it means innocent people don't get mixed up in that. And obviously there are some, I don't know where the exact line lies. It's like, okay, 1 million rapists in jail if one of them is innocent. I'd be willing to be fine with that. That one still isn't just, but it's like, where do you draw the line? And it seems that there are way too many scenarios where this is happening with Title IX. It's not even like the people that are against Title IX are like, hey, let's legalize sexual harassment. We're like, we just want due process. We just want a fair trial here. Because the thing is, like, just the charges themselves ruin people's lives. Like I mentioned earlier, even if you take these charges off the kid's record, for one, there's all the emotional trauma. There's the fact that all that money was wasted, both by the parent and the taxpayers. And the kid's life is still scarred. Because how many people out there heard these rumors that this kid was, like, harassing women, and they never heard this. They never read this article. They never found out that, hey, turns out the women are crazy and not this guy. Like, there's so many people now that think this guy's a messed up kid, that think this kid is a sexual harasser, when he's not. Like, he's done nothing wrong here. And I feel so bad for the kid. And again, now, like, imagine, like, whoever you are, you're going out in life, applying for a job, making new friends, and people Google you, and this is what they find, like sexual misconduct charges. Like, I wouldn't want that. Even if it's, like, even this article here, like, I wouldn't want this article showing up as when my name is searched. It's in my favor. It would show, like, hey, I'm not the one, it's defending me and saying I'm not the one, but still, like, my name and sexual misconduct, like, in the headline of an article, or, like, as the point of an article, or Title IX, whatever we're at the end of the article anyway. Yeah, Title IX investigations, and my name shows up, but yeah, in the first sentence. I don't want that on there. Like, this poor kid, like, this kid, this article is going to be there for, and this article's, I'm not saying, like, this article's bad. If it's true, it's done a very good job of defending him. For this poor kid, like, this is now what happens when you Google the kid, just 2 Title IX investigations. And obviously that's assuming that the Title IX investigations are already removed from his record, which they have not. And that's also assuming that he doesn't have to carry, like, he still has to carry a personal assistant around with him. Like, he can't go to a class without an assistant. Like, that's nuts. Makes everything so much harder. And again, like, obviously, if someone needs a personal assistant, like, yeah, sure. This kid doesn't need one, from what I can tell. But yeah, that's the end of the article, so just that poor kid. Like, that's the thing. That's why we have a problem with Title IX, put simply. It's not like there are people that just want Title IX gone and that's the end of it. It's like, sure, we can have another system. We can have another program. Just not this one. Just not this one that results in stuff like this happening. But yeah, that's it. Again, I'll try to remember there's a GoFundMe campaign for the kid if you want to support him. I don't know. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that. If you want to support the kid, again, link in the description. I'll leave the article in the description if you want to read it. Hey, like, share it around, share this video, don't just share my video, but share the article itself. And this poor kid. Like, I hope in the future that this is all put behind him. Like, not only is he able to graduate, but the Title IX investigations are off the record, and everyone at the university, or as many people as possible, find out that it wasn't him. And it was the girl. Like, again, the first girl wasn't just complaining about a fist bump. She was complaining about, like, actual harassment. And then from what it seems like she just made it up. So, but yeah, that's it. I'll end it here. I'm just wasting time now. Like the video if you enjoyed. Share it around. Subscribe for more. Really helps me out a lot. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And thanks for watching.